to interact with the young scholars of the different universities, and you can say the budding scientists of the country. So, it is my privilege to say or to give my talk on PGR evaluation to the very nice group belong to different parts of the country. So, first is the advances in PGR evaluation, then I come to what is evaluation. The evaluation has already has been talked by the other speakers, also my colleague Dr. Gangopadhyay, he has covered the characterization and preliminary evaluation. So, here I will talk only the germplasm evaluation for the trait specific germplasm. So, then the question arises, why evaluation, why the evaluation of the germplasm. So, the germplasm evaluation for the conversion of this, you can say here, the conversion of germplasm into genetic resources. So, in the germplasm you identify something, you identify some traits, or you add some value, then it becomes the resource. Without adding anything, it will be only germplasm. Then the evaluation for the valuation of the germplasm, because you add some value, then you also tell the value of the that particular germplasm in the terms of different means. So, the germplasm evaluation, you are most of the you are the breeders or the horticulturists. So, the germplasm evaluation starts from the augmentation. If you join in any institute or you want to work in a crop improvement program, then the germplasm evaluation, a series of activities, it starts from the activities from the this augmentation to utilization. So, first of all, if you are a PGR worker, so you augment the germplasm. Augmentation means you augment the germplasm from abroad, that is introduction, or through the local collection, or through the agency like NVPGR. So, directly you can take germplasm from the NVPGR, or you can use in their own program. And the second one is the germplasm establishment. Suppose you augment germplasm from any sources, so again you will not provide the germplasm to you. This is your responsibility, or the responsibility of the crop curator, the germplasm curator, to establish that germplasm for their working use or future use. Then after establishment, the germplasm multiplication, because before characterization or any taking program, you have to multiply your germplasm for your own purposes. Then the activity starts on characterization and preliminary evaluation. Dr. Gangopadhyay already told about the characterization for the highly adaptable traits, which can be established in all the environment. So, and the preliminary evaluation, there other than the characterization for the grouping of the traits, then the other some breeder driven traits that can be useful for the breeders. So, preliminary evaluation only a few 10 to 12 breeder driven traits that can be also taken. Then my lectures are from here the detailed evaluation or the trait specific evaluation. After grouping of the particular trait, then we go for the detailed evaluation, the trait specific evaluation for the biotic, whatever the traits for what you are searching, the genes or the germplasm. Then after specific evaluation, trait specific evaluation, you identify some primary accession. Then the trait discovery, you need to know the inheritance of that particular trait or the germplasm accession for the utilization of the germplasm in your program. Similarly, the utilization after getting the knowledge about the trait discovery, then you can utilize your germplasm in a best manner for your improvement program. Then in context of PGR utilization, there are two ways. One is the trait discovery, other is the available genetic diversity in natural condition. A trait discovery is done for the germplasm augmented from different sources, and these are the national collections. They may be in the field gene bank or may be in the long term storage like seed gene bank. So, after characterization, you identify some novel traits, then that trait can be utilized in the plant breeding program for crop improvement. Similarly, for the germplasm which is in the nature in the form of field condition or farm condition, that plant genetic diversity is also used directly by the breeders. Then first of all, before coming to the detailed evaluation, we little bit would like to tell something about the characterization and evaluation. Here I have taken two crops for a case study. One is this lentil, linseed, and other is this rice bean. So, here we have evaluated or characterized around 3000 accessions of linseed. So, here you can see the germplasm grown in the field condition under augmented design, or you can see the variability. Here I have seen I have taken only consideration the flower shape and size, color variability. So, here I mean to say, first of all you grow all the germplasm and characterize. Based on characterization, you make a group for particular traits. For example, you want to work on the early maturity group of early maturity trait, then you group all the early mature accessions at one place, and then that group of accessions can be further evaluated for that particular trait, maybe maturity or maybe any agronomic trait. So, the first criteria of characterization or preliminary evaluation is to that germplasm which is characterized should be taken into consideration to make a small group for further evaluation. Similarly, the germplasm accessions should be grouped based on the characterization data prior to evaluation, and always this detailed evaluation be undertaken in collaborative mode. So, if you are doing the work or improvement for the drought tolerance, so you must have involved the physiologist or agronomist for your that trait. Similarly, in case of evaluation for biotic stresses, you have to involve the nematologist or pathologist or entomologist to take into consideration for that trait. So, always this kind of evaluation or detailed evaluation must be taken with the help of curator, plant breeder, and the specialist you can say the physiologist, pathologist, entomologist or biochemist for the quality evaluation purposes. Similarly, evaluation must be taken in appropriate environment for the expression of the trait. In case of characterization, you can take any location, because the characterization is the highly adaptable traits and expressed under that condition. But in case of detailed evaluation, for example, if you take the maturity depends upon the duration of the light and temperature. So, if you grow material here in the Delhi condition or grow material in the South Indian condition, it will be 15-day difference in the case of maturity. Similarly, in case of linseed, if you grow here, then you grow in the Akola condition, that the 15 days maturity will be difference. So, I mean to say here that if you taking the breeding consideration for the particular trait, so that germplasm should be evaluated under that condition only. So, our previous speakers have already covered the descriptors for the characterization. The characterization descriptors developed by the NVPER, Bioversity or by the other agencies, but for the trait specific evaluation there are lot of scarcity for the descriptors. So, here we should, or the plant breeders or concerned specialists should develop the traits for which we are searching the genes. So, we have to develop the descriptors for biotic abiotic stresses, or the user must be encouraged to follow the descriptors developed by the recent agencies for the utilization for the universal descriptors. For the information of your knowledge, the efforts have been required to develop the utilization descriptors involving all the breeders, specialists in some crops like maize, sorghum, pearl millet. In collaboration with CIMMYT, ICRISAT, we have developed some utilization descriptors particularly for the biotic and abiotic stresses and agronomic traits. So, that is available on the IVPER or Bioversity site. So, detailed evaluation, I already told that the detailed evaluation should be carried out with the help of the specialist, and not only with the help of specialist, but also in collaboration with the concerned project director or project coordinator or the center that is identified for the disease or through the agroinoculation technique to get the so certain the promiscuous for the utilization. Here I would like to tell some the important stresses like biotic stresses, the insect and pest resistance. So, we are working for that, then disease resistance for viral diseases, and recently the nematode is becoming the problem. So, we are also taking our germplasm into consideration for the evaluation for the nematode resistance. Similarly, in case of abiotic stresses, the drought, heat tolerance, the salinity tolerance, this cold and frost tolerance, flood tolerance, and some mineral toxicity in some area. So, we are developing the trait specific germplasm or developing the reference set for the traits. Similarly, in case of biochemical evaluation of germplasm, in case of wheat, these are the parameters protein and this amino acid profile and the minerals zinc and iron. In case of maize, the oil and the fatty acid profile. Similarly, in case of oil seeds, the fatty acid profile and anti-nutritional factor. In case of pulses, protein, amino acid profile, and for potential crops, the new crops, the protein and the phenols. Similarly, in case of vegetable fruits, the minerals and the vitamins are the main components. We are evaluating our germplasm, our scientists, the team of scientists of the phytochemists or biochemists evaluating the germplasm for vegetable crops. Similarly, in case of medicinal aromatic plants, our scientists are evaluating germplasm for their active ingredient. In case of aromatic plant, the essential oils. In case of medicinal plant, there may be some alkaloids, or you can say the secondary metabolites. So, for getting the trait specific germplasm, the multi-location evaluation is very important, because if you use the single location data, the data may be some erroneous. So the same set is being grown at different center. We have prioritized our crops based on the importance of the crops and importance of the stress. So, wheat, rice, maize, mustard, chickpea, pigeon pea, lentil, brinjal, and okra and vegetable. So, these are the few crops they have been identified at national level for agronomic evaluation, for biotic and abiotic evaluation and quality parameters. So, these crops are being grown and evaluated at multi-location, 3 locations or 4 locations for the single trait. So, to get the germplasm for a particular stress or particular disease, or you can say the particular parameter of the quality purpose. So, before coming to the detailed evaluation, to sort down the accessions, in case of biotic stresses, the large number of accessions to be screened at one location. After narrow down the accessions, we go for the field evaluation under hotspot or through the advanced evaluation through controlled conditions, because in hotspots or in sick plots you cannot accommodate thousands of accessions. So, here you narrow down the accessions, you group the accessions on some criteria, then you identify 100 to 200 accessions, 100 to 200 accessions, and go for the detailed evaluation through sick plot or through agroinoculation or under hotspot conditions. So, based on our institute program or our multi-location evaluation program, we have identified some accessions in rice, or you can see the trait specific germplasm in rice and leaf blight 40 accessions, in brown spot 15 accessions, in bacterial leaf blight BLB 33 accessions. In sheath blight, we have identified 5 tolerant accessions. Out of that, 1 is may be resistant, because that is under validation. In case of BPH, 39 accessions have been identified. Similarly, in case of salinity tolerance, with the help of CSSRI kernel, we have identified 26 accessions based on this conditions prevailing at the under CSSRI. Then this in case of chickpea, the wilt is very important disease. We have identified 6 accessions with the help of this built sick plot at Jabalpur and at IIPR Kanpur. Similarly, in case of Ascochyta blight at PAU, we have identified 5 accessions. In Colazort, we have identified 6 accessions. For BGM, bottle mold, we have identified 2 accessions at IIPR Kanpur Pantnagar. So, in case of wheat, we have identified 43 accessions, for brown rust, foliar blight 24 accessions, and spot blotch 18 accessions. So, these are the list of the accessions have identified over the years of evaluation, through not only through the single location, through multi-location evaluation. In case of mustard, we have identified 27 accessions. After 27 accessions of mustard for white rust, we have narrowed down to 8 accessions. 8 accessions further validated, then 4 accessions have been found resistant, and these 4 accessions registered by the PGR, the Plant Genetic Germplasm Registration Committee of the ICR. So, we are also undertaken this rust at 3 locations. At first, we have screened our germplasm at Gurdaspur condition. 250 accessions were screened at Gurdaspur. After getting 10 accessions, out of that 4 accessions I have given at 4 locations under hotspot conditions at PAU Gurdaspur, HPKV Arcot, and HPKV Dhaulakua. So, these 3 locations are hotspot for this built in case of this lentil. So, out of the 5-6 accessions, we can identify some accessions that can be used in our breeding program. Similarly, in case of abiotic stasis, we have developed the reference set of 47 accessions after evaluating thousands of accessions for the drought. So, we have developed a reference set of 47 accessions based on the grain yield per plot. Out of 47 accessions, the 10 accessions were found promising, or you can say the resistant for the drought. Then 10 accessions were again taken to the drought under controlled condition, and out of the 2 accessions, they grown under the controlled condition and phenomics facility at IRI. I have sent the phenomics facility at IRI. Phenomics. So, we have, because they cannot recommend more accessions. So, we have given 10 accessions to them, and out of that 2 accessions have been found resistant to the drought conditions. So, we come to the phenotyping and genotyping. Phenotyping, as you know, the conventional phenotyping is very difficult due to the field conditions and highly time consuming also, and the labor intensive. So, now the thrust is being given for the high throughput the phenotyping involving the sensor techniques in the field through the phenotyping of the germplasm. Similarly, in case of genotyping, the high throughput genotyping using NGS technique and this the genomic selection through GWAS, SNPs. So, these are the some advances through which we are phenotyping genotyping of germplasm for the utilization. Similarly, the reverse phenomics and the forward phenomics. So, here you can see the diverse germplasm using phenomics facility of phenomics tool. We narrow down this selection of some plants, and having the forward phenomics using the after getting the desired type, we are using the program. Similarly, the other thing is the after using the phenomics tool techniques and the germplasm discovering some of the mechanism of the gene, and after gene we select the plant, then after selecting the plant, that based on the this gene discovery, that the germplasm they used for the development of the, or you can say the utilization of the germplasm. So, other than the biotic, abiotic, so there are some new traits are also coming into consideration. They are like mechanical harvesting, herbicide tolerance, nematode resistance, nutrition profiling. For mechanical harvesting, this is new traits because now due to the labor problem, so everything to be mechanized. For the mechanical harvesting, there are some certain traits you have to take consideration. The APA, you can say NGRU in collaboration with the ECISAT had developed a variety of chickpea, first machine harvestable variety of the chickpea released by the SVRC of the Andhra Pradesh. So, what are the traits? What are the, particularly in the case of pulsate, lentil or the chickpea, what are the probable traits for the mechanical harvesting? So, you can see the erect plant type, the pod bearing is above 20 centimeter of the ground level, because to cut machine cut, for the machine harvester machine cut, there should be some space between the ground and the pods. So, the pod bearing should be more than 20 cm. stronger root system, otherwise it will come along with the plant. Then the synchronous maturity, if the plant type is indeterminate, then it will be very difficult to harvest through mechanical means. So, the synchronous maturity is the important. So, based on our 2 years evaluation data, we have identified one accession for the mechanical harvesting. You can see here, you can see this is the case of lentil, one accession that can be utilized for the breeding program. Similarly, in case of the herbicide tolerance is the, because a lot of labor is required for this weeding of the crop. So, the herbicide tolerance is important. So, we have screened or preliminary evaluated around 2,500 accessions for post emergence herbicide, and after 25 days data and after 75. So, these are the some plants they were died from the time of spray, then they some recover. So, we have categorized our germplasm into highly tolerant, then this moderately tolerant, then susceptible, then highly sensitive. So, out of that around 2,300 accessions, 128 accessions were identified based on preliminary skill evaluation of this data, and these 128 accessions will be validated through using different dosage of this herbicide and involving the agronomist for the evaluation purpose. Then this nematode, we have also initiated some work on this nematode resistant in case of lentil, cowpea, chickpea, because in lentil in the pulses and vegetables, the nematode are the major problem. So, this under pot conditions we have screened our germplasm, and out of that you can see say the 2 accessions. One is highly susceptible, you can see the size of the gall. You can see the size of the gall, this one, the size of the gall. So, here you can see the very free from the galls. So, the criteria is to for this resistant germplasm, there should be less than 10 galls in the roots of per accession per plant. Then we come to the nutritional parameters, or you can say the biochemical evaluation of the germplasm. So, you can here you can see the cutting of a clip of a paper. So, the fast food or the new generation food is not as good, as healthier as our old germplasm or all plant diversity. So, here you can see in case of maize only, you can see the variability for, you can see the variability for the color. Color means the color may be not due to some some chemicals, maybe some anthocyanin content. So, we are screening our germplasm for the different nutritional parameters. So, the variability is there in the germplasm as much this kind of variability not available in our new generation food. Similarly, there are some wild edible plants, they are full of the nutritional parameters, like chai patta is not camellia, chai is not a tea, Camellia sinensis, but this is a Herpetois spermum. This is a plant collected from the northeast condition. So, here you can see the protein is more than 6%. Similarly, you can see the fiber is 6%, and Meesha patta, Palanketia, this is the here also you can see this protein more than 5%. Then the Flamingia, here you can see the dietary fiber 4% and the nutritional parameter. So, these are some underutilized plants, they are full of nutrition. So, that can be utilized in our dietary habits. So, that we are evaluating these parameters, we are confirming the parameters which are responsible for our nutritional parameters. So, you can in only the rice germplasm you can see the variability for the quality parameters. Here is the protein from 5 to around 20% in case of rice. Similarly, fat content from 5 to 10%, starch 50% to 40% to 80%. Then similarly, sugar maybe from 3% to 10%, and amylose content, stickiness of the rice, because rice is used for different purposes also. So, amylose content is from 5 to 30%. So, you can see the you have seen the yesterday or day before yesterday you have seen the variability for the only for this husk color or the husk parameter or the grain size shape, but here you see the variability for the quality parameter, for the nutritional parameter. So, based on this you can identify some germplasm not only for this breeding program, but also for our own purposes, because here you can see the starch content. If we require more starch, and you can the different kind of germplasm is with me, or if you are using the protein is a very problem for the country. So, if such kind of germplasm having more than 15 or 20% protein in the rice, so that can be utilized direct for the malnutrition or for other for the purposes. The old variety is having more than around 20% of the protein. It is not possible in our new variety, or that kind of germplasm may be utilized for the integration of these traits in the high yielding variety. Similarly, for the case of protein content, there is different crops, the rice, maize, barley, chickpea, French bean, and different pulses, underutilized crops, potential crops. So, the maize, you can see the variability for the protein from 5 to 15. We have got some germplasm collected from Jammu region that is having about 18% of the protein in case of maize. We are validating our germplasm. We have given to the 3-4 locations for validating of these traits, because in maize protein around 5 to 6%. We are having germplasm around 16 to 18%. So, that germplasm was collected from this Jammu region and given to me. We have evaluated having I have seen the germplasm having the protein more than 16%. Then we have given to our centers for multi-location evaluation and to see the reproducibility of the traits. So, if such kind of germplasm available with us or with me, so there will be no problem for this malnutrition, particularly for the protein. In case of maize is being utilized by our poultry feed or our own purposes. Similarly, in case of chickpea, the protein content varies from 15 to around 27%. Similarly, in case of French bean, the protein content is 17 to 25%. And in case of lentil, the protein in cultivated lentil, the wild lentil having more than 30% protein, but in case of cultivated protein, we have got some exceptions having protein 17 to 30 around 29%, 20 or 29%. We are going to register the germplasm of the lentil through our PGRC of the ICR, because in lentil, in cultivated lentil, the germplasm, most of the exceptions is having the protein around 25%. We have got some exceptions having more than 29%, 28% protein. Similarly, in case of green gram, we are having some exceptions 20 to 30% protein. In case of cowpea, then 10 to 20%. Then in case of amaranth our own crop. Now the quinoa is becoming important, but the amaranth is our own crop grown in the Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh. So, in Rajasthan also. So, this amaranth is having protein content 5 to 15%, 15% protein in the amaranth. They have so called you can or underutilized crop or the potential crop. Similarly, in case of little millet or nutricereals. So, I have given on the example of only one little millet. We have got the 5-6 other millets, small millets that are having good source of protein, not only protein, minerals also. Similarly, I have taken one example of rapeseed mustard. Here we have evaluated our germplasm oil content, not only oil content, for fatty acid profile also, because in the oil, the fatty acid, in case of protein, the amino acids are important. In the case of this rapeseed mustard oil seeds, the fatty acid profile is important, because some are the bad fatty acids, some are the good fatty acids. Though you can see the linoleic acid, the high linoleic acid is important for our health. So, we are giving the germplasm for the quality oil germplasm. So, Dr. Gangopadhyay already shown the what are the experiments in the field and also in the laboratories, what are the instruments. So, I have cited only one example, the NIR. So, this NIR is very useful for our screening of the germplasm, because this this is multi-trait specific and non-invasive technique. So, through this we can screen over thousands of the accessions without crushing them, without doing any mechanical injury to the seed. So, we are screen our germplasm through this NIR. So, not we narrow down our accessions based on NIR technique, NIR spectrophotometry. Then we also confirm that trait with the help of bat chemistry, because if these two data, if the NIR data and this bat chemistry data are correlated, then we can go for the, with sure uncertainty through this NIR, because sometimes NIR can mislead you. So, you also go side by side through bat chemistry. So, we have developed the prediction model through NIR in case of amaranth, buckwheat and rapeseed mustard, for sugar and starch, saponins in chickpea. Similarly, in case of protein and minerals in case of brinjal, and this and in case of potential crops for this anthracite and phenols, and some multiple proteins in case of multiple legumes. So, here you can see this kind of model can be useful to screen the large accessions of the different crops through this technique, and they already have been confirmed by through bat chemistry, and they have positively correlated with the NIR data as well as the chemistry data. So, the development of genomic resources, I think that have been already covered by Ambika. So, I am not going to detail, because she has already given some the techniques. At '80s we are using this hybridization based technique RFLP. Then 90s we have come across with the PCR based technique, the RFLP, this AFLP, SSRs, RAPD. Then during the decade of 2000 or the sequence based markers like SNPs. Then now the sequence based markers GBS they are using for the varietal identification, or also for the evaluation of the detailed division of the germplasm. Then the integration of the genomic resources in collaboration with the DGR, or Division of Genomic Resources and Division of Germplasm Evaluation. In collaboration with the DGR, we are utilizing our germplasm through genomic resources or genetic resources in crop improvement program. So, these are some rapid advanced generation technique, because you cannot wait for years to evaluate the germplasm. So, the speed, you have heard the name of the speed breeding. So, through speed breeding we are screening our germplasm, we are manipulating the light and temperature, and we are using the crop 3 or 4 years, 4 crops in a year. So, in main season crop, then we grow some other centers for generation advancement, or also we are doing some manipulation for the temperature and light and grow germplasm or screen germplasm our own condition. Similarly, other techniques also are using the embryo techniques and the seedling transfer technique to save the time and to grow more and more crop per year. Then some of the techniques, unmanned aerial vehicles for using our evaluation purposes. So, drones by having some the camera and this facility for. So, these techniques are being utilized for the herbicide tolerance, for the characterization of the large accessions of thousands of accessions, because manually it is not possible to characterize thousands of accessions at a time. So, we are using the drones or the machines or camera fitted in the drone to screen our germplasm, to characterize our germplasm, particularly for this herbicide tolerance, their heat tolerance, the sensor or camera is fitted with this heat tolerance. They take the image and they give the data. So, these are some new advancement in case of instrumentation for the evaluation of the germplasm. So, what is important, the digital data book. So, field book, this is developed by USA and CIMMYT. So, taking into consideration because if you take the data in the diary, so it will time consuming, and also you can have some mistakes during the porting of the data. So, this is a field book developed by the CIMMYT and they are available on the net also. So, you can take this field notebook for your own purposes. Here all the fields are available, directly go to field and record data in field notebook only, field book only. So, this is new field book developed for the taking data in the field condition, easy to port data, there will be no any missing of data or the loss of data. So, this is very important, particularly for the replacement of our traditional field books and get the data very correct manner. So, the core collections I think already developed, already has been covered by previous speakers. So, the 10% gen plan being utilized for this is the not for evaluation, for the management purposes. So, like core we have also developed the reference set. Like core we have developed the code based on the passport data, characterization data, evaluation data. Similarly, for the reference set of the gen plan, we have developed the reference sets of gen plan for particular trait. You narrow down the gen plan that we known as reference set. So, we have also developed the other than the core set, the reference set for the evaluation purposes. Then the pre-weeding is a for the genetic enhancement, because unadapted genes cannot be utilized through. So, first of all we integrate this trait into our adapted cultivars, then we utilize in our breeding program. So, this is the procedure. So, the primary gene pool, you know about the primary gene pool, secondary gene pool, tertiary gene pool. So, primary gene pool, so GP1, GP, GP3. So, here after making crossing, then the pre-weed line we have been developed. So, after pre-weed lines, that when these lines can be utilizable, that will be provided to the breeders. Through pre-weeding techniques, we have developed some pre-weed lines and have been given to the Sukas Jammu, and they have developed one variety of lentil using our pre-bred material. So, the pre-bred material also became the genetic resources for the utilization. Then the documentation of information already been covered, Dr. Sunil Achak, I think. So, those different kind of the documentation for effective utilization, we have documented our gen plan in the form of digital catalogs or in the form of PGR portal. So, we are having gen plan in the data in a single place for utilization by the breeders. That data is accessible to all the breeders, or you can the bona fide breeders or bona fide users. Similarly, in the registration of the genetic stock, I will take 1 minute for here for the registration of the genetic stock. Registration after a thorough evaluation of the gen plan, not only for 1 year, 2 years, over the years, at least 4 years data, maybe multi-location or single location, or getting publication from a referee journal. If you come across a accession or a gen plan which have some uniqueness, uniqueness may be for economic purposes, commercial purposes, academic purposes, or any breeding value, then that be registered as a gen plan, as a unique gen plan, or as a genetic stock, maybe breeding lines also registered at NBPGR, not by NBPGR, by the PGRC of the ICR, Plant Gen Plan Registration Committee of the ICR. This genetic stock as good as variety, because it have the good battage as good as the variety. So, genetic stock. So, some accessions or some gen plan or some breeding lines which cannot find place in this varietal form. So, that can be registered here for particular trait, for single trait here for future use also. For example, you have come across a line having high protein, but the yield is very low. That cannot go as a variety. So, that accessions or that gen plan can be registered here for this as a unique genetic stock for protein protein stock for particular trait, that is protein. So, through this mechanism at NVPGR, we have registered 26 accessions of different crops. So, I have given the some of the last 2-3 years we have developed some genetic stocks over the years of evaluation. So, we have developed some accessions like wheat. We have got registered for drought tolerance, and similarly one accession of wheat for rust pathotype, then 2 accessions for spot blotch, then 2 accessions. I have already told that through multi-location evaluation we have registered 2 accessions for white rust in case of Indian mustard. In case of black gram, we have identified 8 accessions which are resistant to mung bean yellow mosaic virus. Out of that, 2 accessions have been registered, 2 are under the process of registration and 4 are under the for the validation. So, 8 accessions we want to register in case of YBMB, in case of urd bean, because these all accessions belong to different background. They are not the same accession, these accessions belong to different background and registered for this disease. Because in case of disease, the sources are not so much. In case of linseed, 1 accession have been registered for early maturity. Then the cucumber, 1 accession having high carotenoid content, orange flash. In case of cucumber, you have seen only the white color flash or the green color flash, but here we have identified 1 accession having a orange flash. So, we have evaluated that accession and we have also evaluated the accession for the carotenoid content based on this color. So, having high carotenoid, that have been registered by the PGRC of the ICR. Similarly, in case of medicinal aromatic plant, basil, 1 accession have been registered for high methyl chavicol content. So, utilization directly we are not utilizing our germplasm because we are here being a plant breeder. I am not involved in the development of the varieties. So, here what we do, we evaluate the germplasm and provide to the breeders or to the germplasm to the germplasm worker, to other university or the center. So, to facilitate the utilization of the germplasm, what we are doing? We are organizing germplasm field day, 5 to 6 in a year, and we call all the breeders of the country to sow the material in field condition, in live condition at appropriate stage to select the material for their own choice. Because if I will tell this material is early in maturing, or he will evaluate again. So, to save the time of the breeder, we call him and sow the material under field condition. Not only this early maturity like number of pods per plant or any breeder driven trait like the height or the number of pods per plant, pods per cluster, whatever it is, or the number of silica, whatever the character is there. So, we call the breeders and sow the material and select the material of their own choice. Not only select the material on choice, we also get educated from them, because these are the breeders, they know the problems of the country, what kind of germplasm requirement is there. So, we sit together and discuss to how to proceed further, what kind of material you need. So, we get feedback from there for further to develop our own strategy or the evaluation. So, with the help, so we are promoting our germplasm in network mode using the germplasm field days through network mode involving the breeders directly or indirectly and also getting feedback from them. Similarly, our scientists, even myself and our scientists, it is mandatory to go to each and every workshop from rice to you can see medicinal aromatic plants or the rhizomatous crop or the tuber crop or the wheat, whatever is crops in the country or any field, any the AICRB workshop. Our scientists from NVPGR headquarters or from the regional station, we nominate the scientists, they go there and present their trait specific germplasm to the in the workshop. Show the slides to the breeders, what we have done the last year and what kind of material is with me, to indent the material, to promote the material, and also the interact the peer group of that workshop. For example, rice worker or rice germplasm worker interact with the rice workers for this utilization of the germplasm. So the efforts have been made to utilize the germplasm through germplasm field day or through participation in the workshop or also through the conference or the symposia, the different platform to promote our germplasm. Then based on our efforts, we have found little bit success in case of utilization of germplasm. So one variety from Tamil Nadu developed in rice using our own material. Similarly, in case of sorghum, Parmani Moti from Maharashtra, in cowpea from Kerala, in okra by the IIVR. Then this in case of yams, CTRI in Hindu. Then Chinese potato, again the CTCRI or the ICRP on tuber crops. They have identified some variety. Here, in case of oilseed and pulses, because in oilseed and pulses these are our indigenous crops, so no work has been done, much work has been done on the evaluation, utilization, breeding work. So the 28 varieties have been developed in case of sesame, utilizing the germplasm of the direct selection of the germplasm. In case of rapeseed mustard, 42, I have done an analysis on the impact of the utilization of the germplasm. Here we found that 42% of the varieties developed in the rapeseed mustard through the utilization of the germplasm, not only this germplasm selection, the hybridization selection of the germplasm from the in varietal development. So here we can conclude our talk. So that activity of trait specific germplasm, because you are the students, you are the budding scientists, so you go tomorrow in this field or go to your university. So our request to you, the activity of trait specific germplasm should be undertaken in the network mode involving national active germplasm sites or the Crop Based Institute or the AICRP centers or the hotspot, because the trait specific evaluation as per our experience, we cannot do alone the trait specific evaluation, because there are so many crops, there are so many accessions and so many problems also, because biotic there are different kinds of traits and abiotic and different kinds of traits. So this is our thrust. The activity of trait specific germplasm should be undertaken in network mode involving all the NAGS, national active germplasm sites and the crop based institutes for the meaningful evaluation of the germplasm. Then the utilization of improved techniques for the characterization and evaluation. I have given the one example of field book. So the improved now the techniques are coming. So every new scientist, at least some scientists, new scientists, they should be well versed with the new techniques what are for the evaluation of the germplasm. Then the use of high throughput technologies for the genotyping and phenotyping. Then the development of core, mini core and reference set for the narrow down the accessions or for the meaningful evaluation of the germplasm. First you have to develop the reference set, then you go for the detailed evaluation or for the particular trait or detailed evaluation of for that reference set through different means. Then now the CWRs, crop biorelatives. So I think Dr. Ailawas have covered this crop biorelatives. So this CWRs are very, very important. So the more thrust should be given for the CWR, because here the crop biorelatives are the only so that we find source for the pre-breeding program, because CWRs have the potential genes, have the future. So crop biorelatives should be utilized in pre-breeding. Before that the characterization is important, for before that the evaluation of their potential is important before utilization. So the characterization of CWR is very, very important. Then the detailed evaluation should be taken not at NVPGR, should be taken at hotspots or sick plot conditions or agro-inoculation conditions, particularly for the biotic or abiotic stresses. For example, for biotic, for rice we are involving IRR, earlier DRR, Hyderabad or CRI Cuttack, because we are not in the expert in the case of rice. So we are utilizing the expertise of, because the breeders are there, the pathologists are there, entomologists are there, full-fledged divisions are there. So we are giving the material to them, and they are evaluating our germplasm through different means. So, through in the hot spot or through agroinoculation. Similarly, in case of abiotic stress, particularly for this salinity or the solidity, we are evaluating or screening our germplasm with the help of CSSRI kernel to get the germplasm tolerant resistant to the salinity. So, with this, so there are some challenges. With some challenges, the opportunity is also there. So, here you can see this the challenges, the narrow crop based variety. You all know the variety, or you can see the in some case study one variety having only one source. So the variety have the narrow base, and maybe sometimes maybe epidemic like Kalyan Sona or IRA, they become the susceptible. Earlier there was the variety released by the CVRC, now they become the susceptible to diseases. So because of their narrow genetic base. So here the narrow genetic base is the challenge, but at the same time opportunity also with us, because we have the diverse germplasm, we have the germplasm for the different sources, have the protein from 5 to 15% or the sources of the potentiality in the our germplasm. Similarly, the lack of tools in the nutrition breeding, but the opportunity here, you can see here this non-destructive technique like NIR is available. So, you can screen our germplasm. So, you can use this non-destructive technique for the screen of germplasm for the nutrition parameter. So, the lack of tools is there, but some techniques are also available. You can utilize our challenges in opportunities also. Sometimes the opportunities are also there. Similarly, the identification of genes or the trait discovery, understanding of inheritance pattern. So, the techniques, CRISPR technique and genome editing is there. So, you can utilize these technique for our gene identification. Similarly, carry over some undesirable gene, then gene editing can be done through this technique. So, here you can see the challenges is there, similar same time opportunity with also there in case of in the form of diverse germplasm, this in form of instrumentation like NIR, like new techniques, molecular markers. So, certainly we can utilize our germplasm through the techniques recently available with the breeders or with the available in different forms. Thank you. So, if you have any clarification or interaction, so if possible I will try to